I don't feel safe in safe spaces. Spaces that are designed for specific voices, for people with specific experiences and specific opinions, are not safe for me. Spaces in which people with different perspectives, ways of looking at the world, reasons for doing things are vilified, those are not safe spaces for me. Maybe it's because I was born as a mixed kid in the 1970s when that was weird. Maybe it's because my mom is an immigrant, but my voice was never heard in safe spaces, and it was never welcome. When my children were young, and they are grown now, they are 24 and 22, but when my children were young, we went to this amazing church that was incredibly diverse. There was people with different theologies, different philosophies, different politics, different economic situations, and even some racial diversity too. And what brought this diversity of people together under the roof of one church every Sunday morning was our shared commitment to live our faith through service. And the service that we chose was every Sunday morning, we would gather early and make a hot, fresh breakfast and provide food and fellowship to anyone who wanted to come. And it was a church, so after breakfast, whoever wished to join us upstairs was welcome to pray with us and praise with us. And those who didn't want to, we just hoped to see them next week at breakfast. And as this service grew and as more and more people wanted to come, more and more people were going upstairs to the pews, and some people were not comfortable with that. Some members of the congregation did not like having people who didn't smell right, people who didn't act predictably, people who thought church should be a little more interactive than they were used to. They didn't want to worship with them, and that caused a rift, and that rift became a break. And the people who wanted to serve stayed, and the people who didn't left. Some years later, we were looking for a new pastor, and it is hard to find a pastor who can gracefully lead such a diverse church, and the doors had to shut. And the members who had stayed went out into the community and found different churches, and some went to the churches that were rather conservative, and the women all wore long dresses with modest necklines. And some went to the church with that pastor who was arrested for gluing his feet to the sidewalk in protest of lack of climate change legislation. But what all of those churches had in common was service, and they all served as they saw fit. And I might not have wanted to go to every one of those churches, but I was willing to work with all of them, and I respected them. And the people who left before, the people who left in the split, they all went to the same church. And that church was on a small side street, and you wouldn't know it was there unless you already heard of it. And it didn't do any work in the community. And I am sure that they are happy worshiping in their safe space. But I'd rather be in the trenches with the people doing the work.